Today on Rock the Park, all aboard for an alpine adventure.
This is so awesome. Yeah, it is.
By rail and on foot, we're heading for our highest challenge yet.
Yeah, baby. This is it.
Getting up close with curious animals.
He's just checking us out.
He's licking his lips, too. Look at that.
As we scrap and scramble past some terror-inducing drop-offs.
Yeah, that's an edge.
We're talking 500 to 1,000 foot drop-offs.
And it all starts right now.
Man, look at all those mountains.
I'm Jack Stewart.
This is the real deal.
And I'm Colton Smith.
These are mountains!
We've been buddies for years. Always in search of the next adventure.
Dude, what was that?
We share a passion for our national parks and other wild places around the world.
Oh my God.
Man, heading off the beaten path. Pushing our limits and experiencing nature's best-kept secrets.
Here we go!
It's how we rock the park.
See those two tiny dots moving straight up the face of this 14,000-foot mountain? That's us, without ropes and with no room for error on every side.
Oh, man. Yeah, that drops off.
Oh, wow.
Oh, jeez.
The adventure begins just after sunrise in Durango, Colorado.
Durango was founded in 1880 to support the mining operations in the San Juan Mountains. Now, it's a staging area for people like us, coming to the mountains to explore the wilderness.
We are headed into the San Juan National Forest to do something that we've never done before. We're climbing a 14er, which is a mountain peak over 14,000 feet tall.
San Juan National Forest is 2 million acres in the Rocky Mountains of southwest Colorado. Deep in this wilderness is an area called Chicago Basin.
It's dominated by 3 14ers. The most dramatic looking is Sunlight Peak. That's our destination.
Now to get there, we've got one of two choices. Either we could hike in 13 miles, or we could go with a different option.
The Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad continues a service that's been running since 1882, connecting Durango with gold and silver mines deep in the mountains.
Now, back in the day, they not only carried resources like gold and silver, but they actually moved people into the mountains, just like we're gonna be doing today.
This will be a completely new way to get into the wilderness, just the same way that the miners did in the 1800s.
The train uses steam locomotives that have been in service since the 1920s, and some of the railroad cars are the originals.
It's called narrow gauge because the rails are only 3 feet apart instead of the usual 4 feet 8.5 inches to allow for tighter turns. The train runs to the town of Silverton, about 45 spectacular miles away.
It's the first time I've ever taken a train through the mountains. This is stunning.
The route winds alongside the Animas River, sometimes rising hundreds of feet above it, hugging the mountain walls.
The railroad was obviously used back in the 1800s for so many different things. It was really the main mode of transportation. From the moment it was created, scenic tours were part of the entire deal. It wasn't just for miners, it was for all.
While the mines were operating, about $300 million worth of precious metals were shipped out on this rail line. By 1920, the mines were mostly played out.
Now, the train's only cargo is sightseers, hikers, and mountain climbers.
This is so awesome. We're hanging off cliffs. We're going right alongside the river. It is unbelievable.
And again, when you think that this was constructed in the 1880s and seeing how narrow these tracks are and how windy this railroad is, it is absolutely mind-blowing that they were able to come up way in the mountains and create this railroad.
About 30 miles outside of Durango, there's a whistle stop called Needleton, where trains used to drop off mine workers. Now, it's become a pickup and drop-off spot for hikers and climbers.
So we're gonna start out by going alongside the Animas River.
The Animas River, the animal river?
No, I thought it was animal too. It's Animas, which means the river of lost souls.
Ooh.
So
Let's hope we don't join that company.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Legend has it that the River of Lost Souls was so named by the Spanish 300 years ago to honor a small group of conquistadors who died here. The river is said to be haunted by these lost souls still searching for their final resting place.
right.
All right. This is it.
Yep. Into the wilderness we go.
The train ride gave us a jump start into the heart of the Wemanuche wilderness, but it didn't give us much time to adjust to the altitude.
It's harder to breathe up here. The hike is starting around 8,000 feet and we're working our way up to over 11,000.
Starting to feel it in the lungs, but the trail itself has been nice and gradual. We're not really running in to any of these incredibly steep sections, which I have a feeling we're gonna encounter tomorrow. But that's nothing compared to what we encounter further up the trail.
It is hailing. That is right, it's hailing outside.
It's hailing, and it's hailing quite profusely. We're in San Juan National Forest in the Colorado Rockies, hiking up to our base camp in the Chicago Basin, where we'll spend the night before tackling a 14,000-foot peak tomorrow. We are about halfway in to our 6-mile hike, so we still have got about 3 miles and some significant elevation to go. This is mountain goat territory, and we're hoping to spot a few. But there are other animals up here that we just as soon not run into.
This is just perfect black bear habitat. You've got this dense forest, plenty of food for them to eat, and we're making no mistake about it. They're out here.
About 19,000 black bears live in Colorado. Research shows that rising temperatures have significantly shortened hibernation periods, so the bears are looking for food for longer periods of time. And because they can smell food from 1 to 2 miles away, that means more bear-human conflict.
Another animal in the San Juan range is the mountain lion. Now, I would say that we're keeping our eyes peeled for them, but let's face it, their nickname is the ghost cat because rarely are you able to see them, especially during the day.
Chicago Basin is like a shallow bowl overflowing with the runoff from a network of mountain streams. We're just below it.
Not only are there multiple streams that come down from the Chicago Basin, but the basin itself traps humidity and moisture, so it's just a really wet place.
The cool mountain air turns that humidity into rain almost every afternoon, including today.
So the rain is now officially starting to come down. It started as this nice little sprinkle, but now we're getting wet. It's time to layer up, get our rain gear on, and stay dry.
When the rain gets heavy, the Chicago Basin overflows, turning these mountain trails into mountain streams.
It's basically essential that we get to camp dry.
It could get down to freezing tonight. And so going into camp already in a pretty miserable state, it's another just not fun, nasty thing.
After hiking a few more hours, we come out of the tree line onto the rim of the basin.
Oh man, we made it. This is it, Chicago Basin.
Oh my gosh.
Those are our mountains. Do you know which one is Sunlight?
Yes, I do. Okay, so if you look, that's Windham Peak.
Okay, yeah,
that's a 14er. Then you've got Peak 18, and just on the other side of it, that's Sunlight.
Oh.
This part of the San Juans includes some of the wildest and most rugged mountains in Colorado. They were created by volcanoes, and glaciers shaped them into jagged peaks with mountain lakes and alpine valleys.
To get an early start on our climb, we need to make this an early night.
Let's look right around here for a couple reasons. One, why carry our heavy packs forward if we really don't have to? And two, if storms do roll in, I don't want to be out in the middle of an open field or even up against the rocks for that matter if there is lightning. So something with a little bit of cover, kind of like we have, would be pretty ideal.
Making camp in the Chicago Basin usually means making the acquaintance of a well-known Furry Mountain resident. Rocky Mountain goats see a lot of hikers come through here, so they've lost a lot of their natural shyness around people, especially if they smell food.
All right, got the food. Perfect, everything in here?
Yep.
Okay.
So the bear canister we use to keep food smells sealed and stored far away from camp is doing double duty as a mountain goat canister.
But food, unfortunately, isn't the only thing that attracts them.
Mountain goats look for salt anywhere they can find it. And unfortunately, when we go to the bathroom or urinate, they're attracted to that. So unless we want a bunch of goats roaming through here, messing up our camp, we have to make sure that we go far away when we go to the bathroom, just to make sure that we keep a nice clean camp here.
Just as we're ready to turn in, there's a noise outside, and something starts coming in through the open door.
All right, so we are in our tent right now, and it is hailing. That is right, it's hailing outside.
I was maybe thinking it might rain a little bit, but it's hailing, and it's hailing quite profusely. Rain makes rocks slippery. Ice could make it unclimbable.
What do you think?
I think we lie our heads down and we just let nature take over and see what happens. That's kind of all we can do.
It's 4 a.m. in the San Juan Mountains in Colorado, and after falling asleep to the hailstorm last night, we're up and about to attempt our first 14er on a peak we can barely see right now.
You set?
I'm ready.
All right, man. Let's make tracks up to Twin Lakes. I think that should be our first stop.
Let's do it.
All right.
We're starting at about 11,000 feet and need to climb another 3,000 to reach the summit of Sunlight Peak at 14,058 feet.
We've been hiking for a while, and we still have to go all the way up over that ridge up there. So you can see that stream coming down. That's coming out of those Twin Lakes, which is barely our halfway point.
First, we climb above the tree line into a colorful alpine meadow.
You've got all these wildflowers. You've got the evergreens. With the sun coming up over the mountains, it just paints this beautiful picture.
The colors are just popping like crazy. The greens, the blues, the purples. This is so incredibly beautiful.
A little further up the trail, it looks like someone is waiting to welcome us.
So we actually have a mountain goat, and he is approaching us. He is just checking us out.
Yeah, he is. He's licking his lips too, look at that.
Rocky mountain goats are perfectly built for this environment. For scrambling, they have extra strong front shoulders, and their hooves have pads for traction on smooth rock.
Looking at this guy, you can see that he's losing some fur.
In order to live up in the high alpine, mountain goats, they need to have a way to protect themselves from the elements. So for the winter, they grow these thick coats, and then in the summer, they shed them by rubbing them up against things like rocks and branches and vegetation.
While it's very cool seeing wild animals up so close, we need to make sure that we're keeping a respectful distance at all times.
Just because these guys are used to humans doesn't mean that we want him to really get too close.
Hey, buddy.
All right, come on.
Come on.
Yeah.
If people get hurt, animals get into trouble.
There you go. All right.
So it's not good for him or us to get too close.
You're beautiful, yes. And I would like to be your friend, but we can't let that happen.
All right, man. Twin Lakes is just over this little hill.
The lakes are a kind of reservoir for mountain runoff and a source for the creeks running through the basin.
So we made it to Twin Lakes, which is just about the halfway marker for this climb. But if you look behind me, that tall peak right there, that's Sunlight.
Our terrain is about to get really, really intense. We're not gonna have that nice trail that we've been hiking on before. We're going into scree fields. We're gonna have to navigate and stay on track.
Scree is an accumulation of loose rock on the slopes of a mountain. After we get through that, there's a band of boulders and then a scramble up sheer cliffs to the summit.
As we head out, there's a sudden quick movement among the rocks, then another and another.
We're starting to see tons of marmots. Now, marmots are pretty cool. They generally live up above 8,000 feet, and they're actually part of the same family as squirrels and chipmunks.
These little guys eat the flowers and grasses that they find up here in the alpine meadows.
Marmots love these areas because of all the rocks that they can use for protection, and also, it's easy for them to elude predators. It's the same reason why we've already seen so many mountain goats up here.
This is probably our last wildlife encounter for a while. From here on, there's very little vegetation, just rock and snow.
We're now starting to enter into this giant scree and boulder field.
Hiking up scree is like a sufferfest.
Having to exert extra energy on things like stepping over rocks or making sure your feet are absolutely in the right spot. It's all those little things that add up and just start draining the energy right out of you.
The name scree comes from an old Viking word for landslide. Time to strap on some protection.
All you really have to do is take a look around at this area, and it's pretty obvious that falling rock occurs very, very often.
More people die or get injured from rocks falling on them than they do from like falling off of mountains.
Once we've struggled our way across the scree field, Sunlight Peak rises straight up over us. From here on up, it's about skill and strategy.
All right, so we've reached the point where trekking poles won't do us much good.
Yeah, now is where we're gonna have to be incredibly alert. No more trail, just scrambling.
But before we take another step, we stop down to witness something we've never experienced before.
Whoa, yeah.
And probably won't ever again in our lifetime. We're in the San Juan Mountains of Colorado, and after a day-and-a-half climb up nearly 14,000 feet, we've reached a boulder scramble near the top of Sunlight Peak.
How you coming?
Good.
A scramble or unroped climb means climbing up steep terrain while using your hands to hold yourself in place and avoid sliding backwards.
This is kind of loose. It's somewhat stable, but just heads up.
Another word climbers use is exposure, and right now we've got plenty of it.
Oh, man. Yeah, that drops off.
Oh, wow.
Oh, geez.
Oh, wowie.
We're having to use all points of contact, really, to get up it. I mean, if you look behind me, that's a massive exposure. I mean, we're talking 500 to 1,000 foot drop-offs. My heart is beating. I'm definitely feeling the altitude.
So we are so close to the summit, and I'm looking around at where we are right now, and the beauty in every single direction you turn is just astounding.
We could keep going, but we're stopping down briefly to check out a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We're here on the first total solar eclipse visible coast to coast in the US in 99 years.
Talk about things lining up. How crazy is it that we're going up Sunlight Peak for the solar eclipse?
None of that was planned. We wanted to climb Sunlight Peak and said, hey, what do you know? We're there on the 21st of August, 2017. Some things were meant to be.
Oh, it's starting. Do you see that? You see the sliver coming in?
Yep.
A solar eclipse is when the moon passes between the sun and the earth, blocking the sunlight. Where we are, the moon will block 85% of the sun.
It's happening.
It's at about 35%.
Whoa, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The eclipse will last another 45 minutes. Meanwhile, we've got the last little bit of a mountain to climb. To reach the summit, we need to scramble through one of the trickiest parts of the whole climb. It's a vertical ascent through a chimney.
All right, this is the chimney.
Yep. Ooh, watch your head.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's good we're wearing helmets. This is like a tunnel.
Yeah, it is. Man. Oh. Oh boy. Yeah, that's an edge.
That is a cliff right there.
Here's our summit marker.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Woo! Our first 14er.
Oh man.
Don't leave me hanging, man. First 14er.
Oh, wow.
This is so spectacular.
Jeez.
It's not only crazy to stand on the summit of a 14,000 foot mountain, but to think of the route and how we stepped it up from previous climbs to do this.
And anybody can do that. Anybody can grow, and it doesn't need to be climbing a mountain. It can be absolutely anything going on in somebody's life.
I love that the river we started at is the River of Lost Souls. But when you come up here, you definitely find a bit of yourself. You get out into places that are so overwhelmingly beautiful. You recapture that sense of awe and wonder.
Ultimately, for me, these are the places where I feel the most alive. And that's really the bottom line.
Let's see what we got left. It is so crazy that we're standing on top of Sunlight Peak, checking out the last remnants of a solar eclipse.
What a place to witness a once-in-a-lifetime experience like that.
And remember,
Hey, if we can do it,
So can you.
So the next chance you get, go out and rock the park.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave any questions or comments that you have.
And please subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more to come.